Oh, I like,
And we are live from the
happy to be
Roofing
here.
Process Conference, Orlando,
sir.
Florida. I'm with two special people. I'm with Corey with Scorpion, and I'm with Tim Brown with Hook Agency. Man, guys, how's it going today?
It's going very well, man. I'm happy to be here. We have a really great group of roofers at Roofing Process this year. This is going to go down in the history because of roofing. Because this is literally, I just had a group of like 6 roofers in a circle, and I'm like, these guys are all growth mode, like going to the next level, utilizing the best technology, like just smart people, and like just getting them talking and like hearing each other. Because sometimes they don't know who they are because I'm paying more attention to like the other roofers than they are. So like just really cool some of the conversations happening at this event.
That's a good point too, that you're paying attention more than they are, and that's a good thing too. And it's like, we're not looking as a roofer, at least in our market, for me, we're not looking at like these guys as like competition. It's more like worthy rivals. And how we got started was through a resentment, right? So it's be careful on who you piss off, because they just might build a dynasty, right?
Yeah.
But not just that, there are worthy rivals, and of course business is war, and sometimes there's casualties in war, right? But for the most part, they've made me better, and I hope that we've made them better.
And I mean, this is a rival.
Yeah.
Right? Scorpion.
Right.
And they're like a very big company, but they are going hard on roofing as well. And so they do a lot of home services marketing. We're a Hook agency. But I mean, like, we were just talking about the rivalry here.
Yeah.
And I was saying I'd like to pick Corey's brain on a little bit too, but I just want companies that don't actively rip down the person, like, so all roofers hate marketers. I'd like those companies to go out of business, the bad ones, the people that are ripping people off. And I'd rather the companies that are trying and doing good stuff. I don't know what kind of swearing.
Yeah, of course, you're fine.
But and same with roofers. We were talking about how like the people that are doing bad things. Ultimately, I just want to elevate the other companies that are doing good work. I don't really know that much about Scorpion's work, but I will say I know that they're not like.
Well, I think the fun thing about rivalries is that it does motivate you. It's different when it's a rival and all they want to do is knock you. And Tim, I mean, I watch his stuff and I learn from it. It's not that he never bashes anybody. He never knocks down another marketing company on there. We have fun picking on the roofers, which that's what we love to do, because they give us,
He's bolder than me on that probably.
But I probably am, but they like to give us a hard time about, marketers going in their DMs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, give me your address. I'll come knock on your door like you do mine.
Yeah.
So it's having that fun, but there's enough roofing companies out there for us all to help. But it's fun to find the ones that are making a difference in their community. And those are the ones that I want to help put the ones that are doing bad in the community out of business.
Yeah.
Somebody was talking to me yesterday. Adam Sand was at our business. I love the dude. RBP Consulting, amazing consulting for roofing companies. And he was just talking about our business and helping us and kind of looking at some things. And he asked me about a particular competitor because he knows that particular person throws shots at us. And like, sometimes they're veiled and sometimes they're not. But I literally then different posts about him on the internet. First of all, I stopped posting about competitors. I don't like throw out shots very often. That person, I said, I've referred that person more business than I've taken shots at them. Like, it hurts a little bit sometimes, but sometimes we're not the best fit. You know what I mean? And ultimately, that's the biggest flex you can possibly do, is referring somebody to business.
Stay cordial. I mean, I've watched other roofing contractors, and Facebook is a big thing right now, and everyone's doing videos or trying to do videos and things like that. But the ones that kind of turn me off are the ones that are like bashing, like, well, look at this guy's work. This is why the homeowner called us and not them and stuff like that. It's just, for me as a consumer, because I'm a consumer as well, I don't want to go with somebody that's like, hey, look at me and how much better we are. You know what I mean? I think that falls on deaf ears. I mean, if you have something new and exciting and value to offer, I think that's what we need to be promoting, especially if you're self-promoting.
Yeah.
Right. And just putting yourself out there and being authentic and as transparent as you can possibly be, I think wins out every time, and referring others. You know what I mean? If I can't handle something, we get calls all the time. We don't do bathrooms, we don't do basements and stuff like that. Well, there's a local guy that's in our market that also does roofing, but basements and kitchens. We refer them all the time.
Yeah,
It takes work to get in that mindset, though. It's like the natural instinct is to like have your guard up and to be scared. So it takes active work to be like, you know what? There's enough business. We're going to be positive. We're going to be positive. It really is more work to be positive than it is to be negative.
I agree. And, I've done posts about this. It's like, as a marketing company, I might not be a fit, but it blows roofers away when I'll sit there and be like, hey, but reach out to Hook, reach out to Michael Stearns, because they don't see that. They're used to seeing people just bash, and I don't believe in it. I believe that, certain companies are a right fit, and he offers maybe something different than what we can or however it is. And I'd rather them go to a good company than not work with me and then get sucked into the wrong marketing company, to where then now that persona of marketing companies is they all suck. I'd rather them go with somebody and get what they need than me worry about me getting the business.
Yes,
makes
sense.
This kind of you know what? It could be an organic conversation about how marketing bleeds into sales too, because I think it's a sales tactic, which we all should be doing, which is a little bit of like this. I'm going to say it, guys. I like talking about sales. It's fun. Let's talk about sales. And it really does affect your marketing and the way you market too, which is we're a little bit selective about the customers that we bring on. And ultimately, if you have a little bit of that vibe, especially in higher end, like it's expensive, right? It's an expensive thing. It really makes people wonder why. Why is this person selective about who they bring on? And why are they so focused on getting them to the right fit? And it kind of like makes you almost want to be the buyer, even when you're selling. You know what I mean? Because I'm making a decision about who I'm working with. And I only want people that have the right expectations. And I only want people that we can wow. And ultimately, if you have a little bit of that, even if I'm guessing home services sales as well, like people are like, what? I want to use that company if they're a little bit selective, or if they have criteria. It's even just having criteria for what makes a good TC backer customer, because they actually care that they're the right fit. They're not just selling everybody out here. And it honestly, it increases the expected price if you're a little bit like that. If you're a selective company, you're essentially making them want to sell you on doing their project. And like, that's one thing we do. And at the beginning, to be honest, at the beginning of my company, that was a pose, because somebody told me that was good for sales. And now it's become a real thing. So you can become what you pretend to be. You know what I mean? Yeah. Now I am very selective.
Yeah.
And I certainly am not letting every roofer into our, to work with us. And that part of that is I really am looking for the best fit marketing company for them. And I really am, like, if somebody is like really wants deep consultation on a regular basis, I really am referring them to Michael Stearns, because we are not that. We are a get shit done marketing company. I'm not a consultant. And ultimately we've created a system that works, but it's just interesting how you become what you pretend to be, and being a little bit more selective, or at least having really clear criteria for who gets to work with your company. And I want the right fit. I want only people that we can wow. We want 5-star. We want customers that believe we're a 5-star company. Those types of things really start to attract the right people too. I really believe that is probably a useful discussion for contractors as well as consultants and services.
Yeah. And, me being a salesperson and not the owner and all that, when I first got into sales, it's all about numbers, just getting those numbers. But then started looking at churn, because I wasn't selling to the right roofers, home services, to where watching some of what he did and some of the other companies, and even our CEO where I'm at now, is being more selective, because you need to make sure that whoever you're working with is bought into it. Because if they're just doing it just because, oh, okay, I just want to grow, but if they don't really believe in how the growth should be done, I don't want to work with them. You know,
it's a reputation move too to be selective.
Yes, it is.
And it's especially early on in business, because I was sitting here thinking when you were talking, everything you have said so far, Tim, I've seen you do it. So you're not just sitting here talking shit, because I know you and I know Michael very well, and you guys both swap things together. Now, Cory, we just recently met at a couple shows ago, and you DM'd me. You wanted to send me steaks or something
That was a while
like
back.
that. Yeah. It was my first impression from him. And speaking of impressions, that's a different topic that we could probably talk about on an entire different podcast. But, we started out, I was fairly young, and we didn't have things like this to come to, right? I didn't have mentors. We didn't have things that we have today. It's so much better, right? To help us be better people individually, right? Because it starts there of being who you are is how you conduct business. I feel that way. I think I'm not that guy that would say, it's just strictly business. It's nothing personal. That I don't believe in that. For me, it's all personal.
All
Like I do business with people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I get a good vibe from somebody, usually they have good services to offer. That's, right. Sometimes wrong, you know what I mean? But marketing can be an expensive thing, but there's also a lot of things that a contractor can do for themselves, especially early on for us. And this is me sitting with my contractor hat on.
Yes.
And you guys are the sales guys that are marketing guys that help us, right? Navigate those earlier days that when we don't know what to do or where to go, right? And
can we throw out a couple ideas? I feel like we both would enjoy
yeah,
that.
Yeah, right.
I always am chomping at the bit to help earlier contractors.
Me too, because that's my goal right now, is to ruin that percentage that's going on right now in our industry, where it's 1 to 5 years, 90% of us don't make it. The impact that I really want to have in my mission for 2023 is to break that down to 50% by the end of the year.
Can I just note for a second, we're at a show.
Yeah.
This is Hook Agencies putting out these Energizer marketing energy drinks. I'll say, to me, this is what you need when you just start out, which is you need to drink some energy drinks and do some shit yourself.
Yes.
That's how I feel. I actually believe that deep in my core, that contractors should get more into marketing when they're early. And I think that it is a real element of business. And if you door knock your way there, to me, I'm kind of counting that as marketing a little bit. I'm just kind of pulling that, whatever it is, 1-to-1 or 1-to-many. That's what I like about Google search engines, right? And I like other types of marketing too, and brand and Facebook and all this stuff, right? Is we're going 1-to-many. That's the beauty of it. You post once, 100 people saw it. That's a pretty big deal versus you're just talking to one homeowner. But there's always in person is always the best. So I get why that's so attractive to people. Really what I believe, though, is the things that you should be doing are local Facebook groups, being in all of them, referring other home services businesses. You should be doing Google local service ads, Google guaranteed. And you should be kind of just getting good at that organic social media thing, because some of you haven't even said, I own a roofing company on Facebook yet. They don't even know. You got to say it. You got to pretend like people could come from your Facebook. They can, but you got to start pretending that way first. You got to start being by the way, I do this, if you don't know. So that's the first thing. But I think Google local services and Facebook groups are huge. You guys know to door knock. I don't need to tell you to do that. And then I think, you take it up from there. I don't want you to spend $20,000 on a website when you're just starting out. You got to go cheap. You got to do cheap stuff. You got to drink a lot of energy drinks and do it yourself, or do whatever you got to do to get motivated.
Yeah. And kind of even on top of that, as Facebook is a huge thing, and a lot of roofing companies do have a Facebook page, but there's one thing that they can do that's free. And that's one thing I do like to do, is educate them on things that can help them generate free business. Is making sure whatever services that you offer are on your Facebook business page. Okay, because if somebody goes there and they don't see what your service is, how are they going to know? So try to keep them there. Let them know what you do and keep them that. And it's free. But you would be amazed at how many roofing contractors don't have their services on their page.
Yeah. Well, see, and this is the thing. So a lot of contractors too like to set it and forget it kind of thing. And I think right now, at least, I grew up in the era of, hard work and determination outweighs smarts any day of the week, right? So one of the biggest things that we've implemented at TC Backer is Lead Scout. I'm just going to plug them because Chris is a good friend of mine. So for $200 a month, unlimited access, right? Unlimited users. You get the addresses around the addresses of built jobs already, right? So we're hiring people on the hopes that, hey, we'll give you addresses around jobs that we've already built that are owner occupied. And they're like, okay, sounds great. So we've already warmed those neighborhoods up with drip campaigns, geo-targeting, things like that. But there's a lot of things a contractor can do once you get that lead that comes in the door, right? The lead comes in the door. We give our salesperson 20 addresses. They should take 5-yard signs with them, go run that appointment, put Post-it notes on every single one of those doors that, hey, I'm Tom down the street. We're doing a project, yada, yada, yada. Doesn't matter. Put 5-yard signs out in that neighborhood because you can't tell me that there isn't 5 stop signs someplace. That's your neighborhood. That becomes your neighborhood. Launch a mail campaign in the app, the canvassing app by Lead Scout. You can qualify or disqualify each home. When you qualify it, that means that'll launch a drip campaign to their home. So right there, you're branding. I'm a big branding kind of guy, which takes time. It's like an SEO, but you got to put in the work. Like you have to earn that brand recognition before people actually start talking about you. And to me, those are impressions, right? So what is it? Between 11 and 13 impressions before a homeowner even calls you, right? So why not try to fill that up as many touch points as you can personally yourself as an owner or a salesperson when you're out in the field?
Oh, I 100% agree. And one thing as a principal, I always just kind of push people on is like double down on what's working. Like everyone always wants the early contractor. Year one, they sent out a bunch of direct mail or something, and it worked. Some of it worked. And then they come to me and they're like, all right, how should I switch it completely to something else? I'm like, you got what percentage of people responded to that direct mail? What can you do that increases the quality of that direct mail and increases the open rate? And how do you do 3 times as much? So it's really just look at what has worked. Don't be running to the next thing every single time. Yeah. I don't do direct mail. I don't want to sell you on direct mail, but if you're getting good results from that, double down, triple down, 10x what you're doing on that. I just think people flit off to the next thing way too much. Way too much. I always tell, I'm the leader of my company. You guys are too. I always tell people that in careers, when I'm talking to my employees, I'm saying you going in the same direction for a long period of time is going to be very good for your career. And if you make light pivots, even if you leave here, do it something that's like kind of like what you're doing now. Because it's those people that go to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing that then 10 years later, they're like, why am I not getting any traction in my career? Same goes with marketing.
They see something shiny and they want to just go to it.
Yeah. Yes. So
you can't do that, especially in advertising. I run into, roofers that are working with somebody else and they're just like, I love what you're saying. I want to just come aboard. But have you talked to your current marketing company?
Yeah.
I have done that many times. It's like, all right, I found these problems, but have you told your company that you're working with? Give them the opportunity. Just as you would want the same opportunity from a homeowner for you to be able to fix something if you did it wrong. Give your marketing company an opportunity, because the hardest thing with contractors is for them to communicate to the marketing person. And that's one of the missed things, and I'm sure you can agree, is they see something shiny. Oh, I'm just going to leave him. I'm going to this marketing company. But you haven't discussed the main problem. So now all you're doing is going to just keep jumping instead of focus on the problem. Let's find a way, see if your company can do it. And then if they can't, then you pivot.
Behind the scenes, just to know, if you're talking to marketing vendors, just behind the scenes, good information to have.
Right.
If you stay with one vendor for a long period of time and you find that mechanism to give them feedback when there is something negative, you're going to get so much more year 2 and year 3 out of that. If you have accountability, you have to have accountability, right?
Yes.
But when you start over and make a new website, there's a light hit.
Of course.
You know what I mean? But what we want is compounding interest on the existing system. So if you find the mechanism for accountability and giving feedback, you'll start getting better rates. You know what I mean? Like I have customers from 4 years ago that are getting the best rates possible. So ultimately, like not switching every 2 years, like a lot of people like to do, is very wise for your bottom line. If you have the accountability and you have the system to give negative feedback, which there is sometimes, right? So
There's something.
I'm sorry. I'm saying all of us. I'm saying like there's always going to be something, right?
Yeah. The biggest thing for us that we've came across when it comes to marketing and things and who we've used in the past is the transparency of like where our dollars are being spent and not having access to that. What do you guys do different so it's transparent for the contractor and it's explained to them like, okay, so this is where we spent. We noticed we lost traction here, so we dumped more money there. Is that something that you guys do or no? Like, because I almost feel like it's like it's almost like having a stockbroker. It's almost like having a stockbroker, right? Like you're investing money into the stock market, and like you have a broker that you're relying on. Is like, I don't know. Explain to me.
Yeah, I love that question because like with us, we have a platform that we use to where everything in their entire marketing is tracked. Their SEO is tracked separate. Their LSAs are tracked separate. Their paid advertising is tracked separate. Their email marketing, everything's tracked separate, and we see where the spend is going. And we can also see it when they're paid advertising. Did it go to Bing? Did it go to Google? So then if we see where it's working the best, we can move it. And I always say it's like having your marketing broker. It's exactly the way you put it. We can pivot things very quickly based on the AI and everything that we're using, as everybody's using AI these days. But we can use it for their marketing spend and pivot it within a second, no matter the time of the day.
So we use not open source, but a commonly available system called CallRail, and you can too. Callrail.com. It allows you to essentially see if you set it up right. It allows you to see where calls are coming from, whether they're coming from Google Ads or whether they're coming from organic, or they're coming from social or whatever. It basically switches out the number, not to get into the technical side, but it allows you to be able to see where all those phone calls are coming from, as well as lead form submissions. And so you can kind of see, that's the first step, is to track and to see where everything's coming from. If you have 10 leads a month, it's worth it to see where those 10 leads are coming from, because you can't double down on something where I don't know what is winning. Right. So CallRail is one system to do that. Our company uses dashboards and things like that to show the contractor what's going on with graphs and different things. And then we also we do like call listening, and we actually look through form submissions, and like we work with the contractor to understand what's closed. And because ultimately I don't just want people to make decisions based on where the lead quantities come from. To be honest, if that was the case, we'd all just dump $100,000 every year into Facebook ads. Yeah. Because you can get like $10 leads.
Yeah.
Like,
and see,
but you don't, sorry, just the last, to finish that up. You want to order your effort by closed business, not by just lead quantity. Right. And so where we start to see better lead quality and more closed revenue, that's where we want to push our marketing budget into. And that's a really important distinction. Sorry.
Yeah, and one last thing on that, because doing the same is we can categorize the leads, but also what we can do is we can do matchbacks. So we can actually get their full sales file and match it to everything that's been generated from phone calls, form fills, and everything, and actually give them a realistic number of where that sale came from and match it to everything in our system. And it's been
we both do that. So
yeah.
Good. Yeah.
No, okay. I know y'all do.
It's important,
but a lot of companies don't. And then they're just saying they're qualifying it for that contractor without the proven data behind it. That's why
you guys almost need to do that, because if I start pushing you guys and questioning, you need to be able to do that match back. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's very important. Okay, so for someone who's as nutty as I am about Matrix and stuff like this, so we've tried to get it, and John has been a great help with this. John's our in-house marketing guy, right? So like I'm going to use billboards and yard signs and truck wraps. Like we do almost what's called, I call it the fishnet approach. Like some people call it the shotgun, right? All marketing and branding works. And I'm a big branding guy, but it's cool to be able to watch those matrix. And that's why I asked you guys that question, because for me as a guy that likes and is interested in those numbers, right? You know, CallRail is a great tool to know where those calls are coming from, whether it be a billboard, yard signs, a truck wrap, yes. And
to make new numbers.
Yeah, make new numbers and things like that. Because in the wintertime, okay, most people are hibernating. So for us, you want to double down on your Facebook and Google ad spend. For me, we want to peel back some of the billboards because less people are on the roads. Remember, people are at home, it's cold out. We live in the north, and in the summertime is on the exterior marketing and branding approach that we tend to do more in the summer months, spring months, fall months than we would in the winter time, just because most people, let's face it, it's cold outside, they're scrolling, they're doing their thing, and we want to pop up. So we want to know, like, and how we found that out is watching those matrix of, okay, more calls come from billboards over the summer months because more people are traveling, right? Opposed to the winter months, you know. So just to keep that in mind of doing the fishnet approach like we've done to see what works and what doesn't work. And I can tell you this, all marketing works to a certain extent. And so same thing too, there's different types of people you want to market to as well, right? So the younger generation, which is the millennials right now, which is the largest generation of people that we've ever seen in our entire life, digital marketing. But what about the baby boomers? Are they on Facebook? So what are you doing to market or brand your business? Newspaper ads work. A lot of people think newspapers are dead. It's not true. How do I know? We do it.
I just needed them to get cheaper. So like, the only thing is like they're over, like at the end of paper, or not the end of paper, but when it was getting less popular, they were still trying to sell stuff at the same price.
Yes.
So now it's gotten down again. So now like the actual ROI based on number would be higher. Right. It's like kind of needed to go down because ultimately they're still overvaluing for years after it wasn't as popular.
Yes.
So the price needed to come down.
Well, I also think that, you know, the older generation, and I'll put myself in that, maybe even a little bit older, are getting more into the technology because of their grandkids are using it and they want to be able to communicate with them. So the billboards and all of them are great, but I still think that proving the value to, you know, hit that target market as well is huge because, I mean, my parents are they are 70 and they're more on their cell phone than you would ever imagine because they have little grandkids.
Yeah. And again, those are impressions. Those things, the newspaper, the billboards, the yard signs, for me, I call them impressions, not brand. The brand is our previous customers, existing customers, those people that are screaming TC Backer and whispering to their neighbors, hey, these guys do a great job. That's our brand. You know, the touch points that I talk about sometimes is that impression, like we do home shows, right? So this past weekend, we set 50 appointments. But throughout the course of this year, we'll end up getting 40 to 50 more phone calls because of the impression that we've made and those that we've been able, because they on their way to the home show, they saw a billboard, they saw our trucks, the newspaper ads. Hey, come see us. So we're closing that gap on that 11 to 13 touch point. That's always constant. Like, how can I fill this up in your mind as quickly as possible?
Yeah, we see that in the data for companies that have great brands in their market. Like we work with Monarch Roofing and Andy's Roofing, which are both like in their market. Obviously, Monarch is a big, and Andy's is a small market. But let's say 600,000 people. When you dominate, the cost per lead goes down. When you have this brand that's ever present, you do a good job on those things. You know, maybe our average is like 115 a lead on Google Ads. It starts to go down because now you've built this, like, if there's 3 ads to click, I'm clicking the one that I've seen the yard sign, like the catch-all maybe, and, you know, a billboard. So like ultimately, like we see it every time when somebody's really caring about, let's call it impressions or whatever, then the cost per lead on the digital side ends up going down. So we like to encourage that behavior.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And ultimately, it's, to me, the more you get out of just the scarcity lead gen mindset and into like dominance, brand awareness mindset, and every customer refers us to customers kind of mindset, you start to just, marketing gets more and more fun. Because when it's lead gen and you're just thinking about cost per lead every time, and it's not as effective. We are certainly held accountable to that.
Yeah.
I just think as a business owner who also markets his own business, the more I can start to think about like being ever present for my ideal customer. Who is it for is the most important question in marketing. Now I'm just going off the rails. But
no, I mean, you're right. I mean, the more they're branded, it doesn't matter how they're doing it, but the more they're branded, the better it's going to be for their digital, the better it's going to be for the cost per lead, and that's ultimately what we want for them. I don't care what they do out there. If it's working and you can prove a return on investment, don't stop.
Yeah.
Double. If it's working, then like he said, put a little bit more into that, but also making sure, even with people that are doing billboards, when I go by a billboard, I'm going about 85 miles an hour. I don't really remember it so much, but then when I get home and now I'm looking for it, you want to make sure you're there as well.
Yes.
So if you're just branding and doing all branding, but then you don't have a good digital presence, you've got to be everywhere.
Yeah.
And I love using the analogy as Google's a bouncer, and Google's looking for that, the bouncer's looking for the good looking couple to come into the club, the respectful, dress well, all that, because they're going to have a good experience. Google's only wanting people that are giving good experience, and that's a brand that they're presenting out there as well. So that's what you got to think of is
like local service ads. They're, if you're not responding, you know what I mean? If people are rating you poorly, they're not going to show you as much. You know what I mean? So ultimately, like Google directly is getting this feedback from customers about your experience. Not only is the website important, the way it looks, so that they don't. I don't want to mix analogies here with the bouncing, but
no, I like
they're
this.
bouncing off the website. Then Google's not going to show that website as much. And when people are using your service and they're reviewing you poorly, Google's not going to show that website as much. So it's not just marketing now. That's where marketing kind of evolves into your customer service. And no matter how good of marketing you have, if your customer service is bad, then eventually Google's going to find out.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. It kind of hurts a little bit because like, big brother, I'm so sorry. But you should have that mindset, like about reviews and stuff like that. We all get a bad review every once in a while, right? But like, you should be diligent about fixing that, and you should be doing it in public in a way like you're responding to these reviews. That's like, we're so sorry. Like other customers are looking at that. We're sorry you had a bad experience. That type of thing, and we're going to resolve this as quickly as possible. Yeah.
But, to his point, because, I mean, you did this video a while back, and I loved it. It was talking about websites. And it's got to be more than just a look. Yeah, you want a potential customer to go there and be wowed by it and everything, but you want a good user experience. But it's also the behind-the-scenes stuff that you want to make sure is correct. Just like a bouncer. Yeah, just like a bouncer. Yeah. I may see the best-looking female, whatever, couple, and come on in. You skip the line. But then they're the ones that are
club.
But then they're the ones that are starting arguments with everybody and all that. So it's more than just the look. It's the relationship.
I'll give a really good example of this. Sorry, I know.
No, yeah. Let's do it.
Man, we saw a website. There's a website, very good looking. Honestly, I was like showing it to our designers. I'm like, you got to see this website. It's gorgeous. Oh, it looks good. Maybe it's got some weird looking pulsing elements. It's got stuff that's kind of like swinging. It's got all these like, it's fancy. It's a fancy website, and I'm showing it to our designers. We bring it to our coders, and our coders are looking at it, and it's a builder, like a website builder built on another website builder. So there's literally like code inside of code, and like these it's basically like a hacky job. And you've seen those, right? Yeah. On roofs, hacky jobs,
right?
It might be beautiful if you're a homeowner. You're just taking a glance at it. It's like, oh, that's a nice shingle. You look underneath it and it's a layover.
Yeah.
It's built on another shingle.
Yes.
You're like, this is bad, guys. Like, we don't even know if the wood underneath this is rotted or not.
Yeah.
And that is the equivalent. The site speed was incredibly low.
Mm-hmm.
The work, every piece of work that would be done on it would take 5 times as long. And that's not ideal. You want people to be able to edit the website quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And so these hacky jobs, it doesn't matter how pretty it is, it's going to be bad for your Google visibility. We have a graph on our sales deck, which is like, it shows websites that we've built go twice as fast and get twice as much Google visibility as the ones that we're doing the exact same work, the exact same SEO work, but it's on poor foundation.
Yeah.
So we really encourage people to do a clean, custom coded website for that reason that Cory is talking about. We need clean work. We don't want layovers.
Yeah.
We don't want hacky junk. We need to know whether the wood underneath is rotted, and we need to replace it if it's bad. And
that's a good analogy, especially for us roofers, because we understand that lingo.
I just feel like there's a lot of hackiness out there, and because contractors don't know what good digital
they don't know what coding
like.
is and graphic design art. I mean, we don't know that. We didn't go to school for that. You know, you guys, we're relying on you guys to be trustworthy, and that you're building us a solid foundation for our website.
So I'm only going to reference this because that person's doing this publicly. This is as spicy as it gets on this one. That person was selling, they said it's a hook quality website for $25 of the price. That's what they were selling it as.
Really?
They're saying they're using our branding in their sales outreach.
Oh.
And I just want to say, if somebody says that to you, if you see this, it's not. It's not apples to oranges. Like the craftsmanship is shoddy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use my competitor's name in my sales outreach personally.
But
anyways, I don't want to give that person a brand impression by saying their name. But the point is like, usually that underlying one that's using another company's name and then it's not really that quality.
Well, and that should be flattering to you.
It was flattering, but it was also concerning because that person literally believed that it was a hook quality website.
Yeah.
And like, to me, that's misleading.
Yeah.
But they only know what they don't know, you know, and some of these salespeople that work for marketing companies, they think they're trying to come off, you know, educational and that they know what they're really talking about, and they don't, you know. So you know me, I'm kind of sometimes not, you know, shy to call them out. Sometimes you just got to let them know, you know, the difference.
I have. The funny thing is that particular company, I have actually like tried to help. You know what I mean? I've sent them business. I probably will continue to send them business for people that are not ready, but I just wish they wouldn't use my name. You know what I mean? Like, I just believe it's weird when you help somebody and then they go do weird stuff. That's the weird part, because I cannot stop myself from helping somebody. Like if somebody asks me a question, like I can't stop
me
it.
Too.
And just on record, that was not me. It's Scorpion. We didn't say that.
And it's not most of the people that you know, and it's not most of those people. So it's just somebody that's, you know, like ultimately we're all scrappy when we start out. You just want to not let your scrappiness be like, I'm doing things that maybe someone would consider unethical.
Yeah, right. No, just let your actions speak louder than your words sometimes, man. Humble yourself and look at it as flattery and you know, because when you're doing a good job, people notice that stuff, right? So they know that whoever this person or company is, they know that. And like he said, maybe they that's their perception that their quality of websites is as good as yours.
They look actually, I would say the homepage looks as good as some of our websites. It's the interior pages of your website matter. I could go off on a rant on that. The interior look of your website, those pages, it matters a lot. Most people are not coming through the front door. They're coming through the back door and through the window because they're coming from Google.
Right.
Google. And they're coming through all the crevices. So every page, that's where your interior page templates need to look good. Sorry, I just keep on going off on rants.
No, that's it.
No, I think that, and I am going to steal that from you because I like that, you know, but I think it is because if they're doing the proper marketing and advertising, you're not taking them to the homepage.
Yeah.
You know, you're taking them to the window, you know, through the door, you know, through that crawl space, whatever it is, to get to where they really want to be. And that's not the homepage. Doesn't matter how good the homepage looks. It does, but make the other ones more relevant, that they're actually driving the advertising to.
Absolutely. And oh man, I could go on so many rants. Message match. So if you're advertising, you know, a particular topic, let's say you're advertising gutters. Do you guys do gutters?
Yeah.
These guys do gutters. If you're a homeowner for some reason watching this long, they do gutters. I bet you it's a 5-star experience.
It is. It really is. Our gutter teams, it's all in house. We don't sub it out. Is the experience with the homeowners? Yeah, it's great. We started out doing gutters. One of many things that I did was my first investment was a gutter machine. I still have it.
So if you go to the gutter page, so if you're advertising for gutters, you have to, the message match is incredibly important. It needs to be the gutter ad goes to the gutter page. And it needs to be, you know, persuasive at that point. It's just funny how some people will advertise for something and then send them to a general page.
Yeah, I was making sure John was paying attention, but I don't think you can hear what we're saying.
It's all good. Yeah, you got to, when you advertise, you just need to make sure it's going to the very specific page about that topic. And some people don't. They'll send them to a general page.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately losing people. Because then they have to find the gutter section on that page.
Or they might just leave the website in general.
And your quality score goes down on Google ads. And I don't know if Facebook has a mechanism for that. We don't handle Facebook ads for roofers, but ultimately there's usually quality scored stuff. It's like if they go right back to the search results, then Google catalogs that as they didn't get what they want. This wasn't the thing. So that message match in advertising is super important. It seems kind of obvious, but then a lot of people aren't doing it. So,
and to the Facebook part, you know, if they leave from Facebook and they go to the wrong page, if you have your Google Analytics set up or whoever you're using, they can show how quick they bounce from that specific thing. So you, even with your Facebook, you want to make sure that, you know, if the message is gutters, it goes to the gutter page, not roof replacement. You know, it's just keeping it consistent. And it's a user experience. You know, that's the biggest thing Google wants to see.
Really great information for even the contractor or another marketing company that's out there that might be listening to this. This is, and marketing and branding and these things like this interest me so much because it's so relevant today. And these are all things that people have to do to stay relevant today. Because you touched on it a little bit earlier, Corey. You know, back in the day where, you know, we had the yellow book, right? We had the yellow book. There was no such thing as digital marketing, right? There just really wasn't. In this day and age, like you have to get with a good marketer, you know, and it's hard to trust, especially in the roofing industry. It seems like, you know, marketing agents have a bad rap, right? But there are a few select guys or gals in the industry right now that I feel like, and I forgot kind of where I was going with that. It's important to align.
I hope that we elevate it because it's ultimately it's actually a really important part of business. And if you get to that spot where you're just completely discounting it and you're saying marketing doesn't work for me or something like that, your business is going to suffer. So whether you do it in-house or you work with a good marketing agency or both.
Yeah.
Like at that point, when you do that, like it is an accelerator. It's not going to make a bad company good, but if you're a good company, you can go a little faster.
Yeah.
And I'm so incredibly proud that we have a customer that's 32 that's getting to 10 million.
That's great.
I think he would have been there by 35. You know, he's not a schlub. He's badass. But the point is we're accelerating it. And ultimately you need to do marketing in some capacity. And I wish that the reputation would get better. And I think that part of that is like just kind of identifying people that are trying to do the right thing, do ethical stuff, just like in roofing where you guys are trying to do the same thing and identify those companies that are good, doing the right stuff, maybe not throwing mud all the time.
Yes.
And then creating this new reputation for roofing companies. Yes. I think roofing and marketing have a lot in common.
Yeah.
Like
we
just need to elevate it.
Yeah.
We need to elevate it. And hopefully like some of these other shitty companies will go away.
Yeah. Then, you know, and maybe then during a correction, a lot of times that happens, you know, and that's why some of us have been around as long as we have. And not that we've all been perfect at every given moment, but we give a shit enough to try to correct whatever the issues are and try to do the next right thing. I think is the most important thing in any industry or whatever it is that you're doing in life. But man, this, I got to commend both of you to be gentlemen enough to both come on this show together, being in the same market, doing the same exact thing, and being able to educate, whether it be our homeowners, whether it be the contractors or other marketing companies that might be watching us now or on the replay. I commend you guys. And you guys are why our industry, your industry is going to be a better place than it was than when you guys found it. Because if you guys can continue to be admiral to each other and be of integrity. I mean, really, ultimately, that's the what by you guys not getting along or not speaking to each other, what benefit does your industry have? Right. You know what I'm saying?
Totally
if
agree.
You guys are butting heads and talking shit on each other, it just makes us all look bad. It makes you just same in the roofing industry. It's like I talked about earlier. It's like I watch other people's Facebook ads, and some of them are here today.
Right.
Okay. And it's like, I'm listening to them. All they're doing is talking about what the guy did wrong 10 years ago. The bottom line is you don't know what position that guy was in either, or what conditions the homeowner put him under, or that shit his wife could have left him the night before when he was on the roof installing a roof. That's one thing that our people know. Like, we'll get called for inspections to come out and inspect other people's work and stuff like that all the time, or whatever the case might be. It's like, you got to handle that delicately.
I think Chris was telling us to wrap up.
I think he was kidding.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, I think he was kidding.
Oh, I didn't know.
No, he was being silly. But I was leading up to, wrapping up. I thank you guys for both coming on the show, because it was a last minute thing. This wasn't planned. You happened to sit down. Cory was sitting there, and that just goes to show, the integrity that you both have, that you have nothing to fear really, because why would you have been sitting next to each other if you were talking shit behind each other's back or whatever the case might be?
It's actually it's hard work to not be negative to your competitor. It actually is work.
It's more work.
You know what I mean? Like, and ultimately we're going to have to work on ourselves to be better people. And
yeah,
hell, I mean,
hopefully we will.
And listen, and that's why you guys are here. You guys are here to improve the quality of who you are.
But I appreciate you having us on, because I mean, be honest, you were taking a chance. Like, all right, are these guys going to get along? What's it going to be? Yeah. But it's about respect.
It is. Respect was the word that I was looking for.
I respect, because I'm in a lot of the same Facebook groups. Mm-hmm. And when somebody gets on there asking for a marketing company, mm-hmm. I was seeing his name all the time. And it's like, yeah, that's getting under my skin. But then I'm like, instead of getting mad and being like everybody else, I started looking at what's he doing. Mm-hmm. How is he getting this? It's not all just the work that Hook does. It's also who he is as a person and what he represents and he stands behind, mm-hmm. how he carries himself. That's where we can make it better.
Yes.
Is proven that we can rise above mm-hmm. other marketing companies just by being good people and being honest and educating.
Mm-hmm.
My little sign off will just be, we just got a Google review the other day from somebody that did it just because our content is useful.
There you go.
That's kind of crazy. And I didn't ask that person to do that.
Yeah, and you reveal a lot of information for free.
Yeah,
I mean, he really does. I said something the other day that I can't remember what you were talking about, but it was super great information. It was like, dude, that's such great stuff that most people hold that information so close to their chest. But anyhow,
yes,
let's wrap this thing up. Thank you both for coming on here. I believe we're going to be going live at 5 p.m. today. Doing the Behind the Tool Belt instead of 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I just wanted to let everybody know we're actually going to be doing it at 5 p.m. today, which we've never done before. But I think under the circumstances and the timing of this event, I think 7 o'clock is about 2 or 3 hours past the allotted time to even be in this venue right now. So we're just, instead of doing the whole flight camera thing, I think we're just going to find somebody. I'm not exactly sure who's going to come on the show yet. I'm hoping.
There's such amazing people here.
I know.
Can I help source for you?
Yeah.
Because like there are some just absolutely incredible roofers here that like if you don't know already.
Well, yeah, I've seen a lot of cool
or if
people.
you don't know who yet, though, I would love to help you bring a couple.
Okay. There's one I would recommend as well.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
It's just such a good like group here. It's
definitely different than what I'm
powerful
used
group
to seeing.
Of roofers.
Yeah. I love that.
I agree.
This is my first one, so I'm digging everything I've seen so far. Everyone's really cool, and it definitely has its own flavor, I guess. Comparing it with any other conference we've ever been to. This is, I mean, it's so far so good, man. It's been a great experience for us. So
I agree.
thank you guys for tuning in, man. We'll see you guys probably one more time before 5 o'clock today. Have a great day, unless you have other plans.
Peace. Unless you have other